What first comes to mind when you hear the word evil? Some words that automatically pop into my head include wicked, dark, sinful, foul, villainous, and mischievous. By definition, evil is classified as being profoundly immoral. Rupert Gould's portrayal of Lady Macbeth's reaction to Macbeth's letter is the most effective towards being evil. Music and sound effects, the portrayal of lines, and the setting of the scene are three important factors that were used in order to effectively portray the scene of Lady Macbeth's reaction to Macbeth's letter as the most evil. Though each director had multiple strengths and weaknesses within their portrayals of the scene, Gould included all three aspects in a professional and accurate way. Music and sound effects is something that is very vivid and powerful when watching any play or movie. It helps establish the mood and tone and also gives you a better understanding of what is happening. During Trevor Nunn's portrayal of the scene, no music or sound effects were used. Though no music or sound effects were used in Nunn's video, he used other aspects to make his version come across as evil. Having no music or sound effects sometimes isn't a weakness and oftentimes allows you to focus on more complex aspects such as the setting or a portrayal of the lines. For example, throughout his video, Lady Macbeth is talking in darkness. As well, not only does the setting appear as dark, but the costuming of Lady Macbeth does as well. During Roman Polanski's portrayal of the scene, sound effects are used but in an insufficient way. Right in the beginning of the scene, sound effects are used. As soon as the video starts, as well as throughout the video, we hear noises of animals surrounding Lady Macbeth. These sound effects help establish the setting of the video but do not help to portray the scene as evil. If anything, it takes away from Lady Macbeth and the lines she is communicating to the audience. During Rupert Gould's portrayal of the scene, sound effects were used in a very effective way. Right from the beginning of the scene, dark and mysterious music is playing. This quickly engages the audience and establishes the mood for the scene, which in this case is evil. Also, sound effects are playing in the background. For example, while the music is playing and Lady Macbeth is delivering her lines, we hear a large clap of thunder in the background. This communicates some sort of pathetic fallacy, meaning that even the weather coincides with Lady Macbeth's evil feelings. In conclusion, music and sound effects throughout a video or play is optional. Sometimes they can better the performance, and other times they may take away from it. Though each version of Lady Macbeth's reaction to Macbeth's letter was unique to whether or not sound effects and music were used, I conclude that Gould used them in the most effective way to make his scene appear as the most evil. The way the lines are portrayed in a movie or play are very powerful. If something is communicated to you in a dull or quiet tone, chances are you will lose interest. On the other hand, if something were said to you in a clear and steady voice, oftentimes you will gain an interest towards the speaker and their lines. During Trevor Nunn's portrayal of the scene, the lines were spoken extremely clear and with emotion at points. Throughout the entire scene, Lady Macbeth is speaking directly and very clearly to her audience. The tone of her voice changes at times to reflect her mood and how she is feeling. For example, when she is reading the letter at the beginning of the scene, she begins to read quickly as if she is nervous. After reading the letter, she has moments where she pauses between her sentences to indicate she is thinking. As the video continues, she speaks loudly and clearly as if she was mad, except when she talks to another character. When talking to someone else, her voice becomes very soft to avoid her anger and madness. During Roman Polanski's portrayal of the scene, Lady Macbeth speaks moderately low and her tone stays relatively unserious throughout the video. At the beginning of the video, Lady Macbeth is speaking in a very soft-spoken tone while reading her letter. Her tone stays like this for the majority of the video. Towards the end, her voice changes to a more serious tone. Though she becomes more serious, I found little indication of her trying to be evil, and if anything, she looks more happy. During Rupert Gould's portrayal of the scene, Lady Macbeth's tone is very dark and low throughout the video to establish an evil tone. Towards the beginning of the video, while Lady Macbeth is reading the letter, she is speaking in a very deep and serious voice. After reading the letter, her voice becomes to be very mischievous until the messenger comes in. She attempts to hide her letter and her voice becomes very light and joyous. After the messenger exits, her voice becomes even more evil as she begins to yell and shout. Overall, How the lines are delivered to the audience in a play are very significant, as it helps to further establish the mood throughout the specific scene, as well as the mood of the specific character. Within both Gold and Nunn's versions, the way they had Lady Macbeth deliver her lines was very effective towards establishing an evil tone. The setting of the play involves where it specifically takes place. The setting may also contribute towards establishing a mood. Within Trevor Nunn's version of the scene, Lady Macbeth is talking in darkness for the duration of the scene. For the whole duration of the video, Lady Macbeth speaks in the dark with just a slim amount of light shining on her. The darkness of the scene helps to create suspense. As well, darkness can often be associated with evil. With the whole scene being in a dark room, it makes you believe something may happen or just perceives you to think negative things. Not only does the setting appear as dark, but the costuming of Lady Macbeth does as well, as she's dressed in all black. Within Roman Polanski's version of the scene, Lady Macbeth is seen on a medieval farm. The choice of setting for this particular scene does not come across as evil. Seeing all the animals and other people surrounding Lady Macbeth also comes across as the complete opposite. As well, with the video being shown in color, it looks more modern. Though everything surrounding her makes you visualize and picture yourself being in that specific generation and time frame, it does very little to make you feel like you are watching something that is supposedly evil. During Rupert Gold's version of the scene, it takes place in what looks like a darkened and old basement or dungeon. At the beginning of the video, Lady Macbeth is in what looks like a jail cell. This automatically makes you think of something bad or evil. As the video continues, the room is very dim, creating tension and apprehension. The lighting also flickers a few times throughout the video. The lighting, or the setting in general, just looks like very uneasy, old, or uncomfortable, making you feel out of place. Lastly, the setting of a play can help you explain what they are attempting to get across throughout the play, and if it can make you feel a certain way. By creating the setting based on how the characters feel or act, it can help the audience gain a better understanding. Both Gold and Nunn use an effective setting to help give off an evil tone to their piece. In conclusion, Rupert Gold's portrayal of Lady Macbeth's reaction to Macbeth's letter came across as the most evil, as he was successful in choosing powerful music and sound effects, ensuring the lines were delivered in a practical sense, and lastly, choosing a logical setting. Nunn was very successful in many of these aspects as well, including having a logical setting and having the lines delivered in a practical way. In many ways, they were both equally as good in these areas. Where Gold outplayed Nunn was in his ability to incorporate different music and sound effects throughout the video, establishing a more evil manner. Polanski also incorporated many of these, just in a different manner. This doesn't mean Polanski produced a weak product, but instead he just interpreted it differently. Overall, Gold created a piece that successfully incorporated all three aspects in a positive, well-educated manner.